Hi everyone and welcome to our channel. This video lesson onwards, we are going to start lessons on grammar basics. In this lesson, we will touch upon the various parts of speech, one area that can be described as the foundation of grammar. Whenever we come across a piece of writing, and even in spoken language, a big task at hand is to grasp the meaning conveyed through the loads of words and sentences used in it. Words play different roles or functions in a sentence. That is to say that they belong to different categories known as parts of speech. Understanding these parts of speech will certainly take us a long way in understanding sentence structures and in using the language effectively. Besides, grammar, sometimes known as English usage, is a very important area tested in exams. One can easily crack the questions on sentence correction and sentence improvement, which are based on identification of grammatical errors if one has a strong base in grammar. So let's begin. There are 8 parts of speech in English. They are noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. The very first of these is noun. A noun is a naming word. It can name a person, place, thing, or even an idea. For instance, the words Shikha and girl are nouns. So are the words Varun and doctor. While it's easy to understand that Shikha and Varun are the names of particular people, even the words doctor and friend are names. The word doctor is a general name given to a person who practices a particular profession, and friend is a general name given to a person with whom you bond well. So, important thing, they are naming words and hence are nouns. A noun can refer to a place or thing. For instance, India is the name of a country. New York is the name of a city. Taj Mahal is the name of a monument. Even words such as city, country, etc. are general names used for places and so are nouns. Words such as building, dog, animal, bicycle, energy, etc. name things or animals and are nouns. A noun can name an idea or a concept as well. Words like joy, childhood, courage, virtue, etc. don't stand for concrete things as you can't touch or see them. They name an abstract idea such as a stage of life or a quality and are nouns. Now let's quickly go through the various types of nouns. A noun is called a common noun when it is a general name given to a person or thing of a class or kind. Words like girl, city, country, lake, table, friend, pilot are all common nouns as they are general names given to persons or things without pointing out a particular instance of the same. In the sentence, my friend is a pilot, both friend and pilot are common nouns. Then we have proper nouns, which are the names of particular person or place, like perhaps Sita, Amritsar, Ashoka, or Mount Everest. The third type is collective noun, which stands for the name of a group or collection of persons or things, like crowd, mob, team, flock, herd, army, fleet, etc. are all collective nouns. When we say the team won the game, the word team is a collective noun. So is the word herd in the next sentence. The herd of sheep was grazing in the meadow. Then we have abstract nouns. Names given to ideas are known as abstract nouns. An abstract noun can name a quality, an action, a state of mind, or a stage of life. When we say honesty is the best policy, the word honesty names a quality. In the sentence, laughter is the best medicine, laughter names an action. It's often said that youth is wasted on the young. Youth, like childhood, is a stage of life. An abstract noun can even name activities or subjects like science or gymnastics. Other types of nouns are material nouns, which are nouns referring to materials and natural phenomenon such as gold, milk, honey, heat, lightning, etc. And compound nouns, which are nouns formed from two or more words like plastic bag, vitamin pill, milk bottle, mother-in-law, etc. The second part of speech is known as pronoun. The prefix pro means on behalf of, so pronoun is a word which is used on behalf of or in place of a noun. A pronoun is used in place of a noun that has already been mentioned or is understood to be the case. This is often done in order to avoid repeating the noun and to bring efficiency in the construction. Compare these two versions of the same sentence. Raj told Simran that Raj would buy Simran a gift on Simran's birthday versus Raj told Simran that he would buy her a gift on her birthday. Sounds much more neat, isn't it? And instead of saying Raj, Riya, Bipin, Ayush and Kamal went for a school field trip yesterday, a student can very well say that we went for a school field trip yesterday if the focus is on the activity performed on the previous day. Most pronouns are short words. Coming to types of pronouns, the most important type is personal pronouns. These pronouns replace the name of persons or objects which have been mentioned earlier in the conversation. Personal pronouns have different forms according to the person, first person, second person and third person, according to the number, that is singular or plural, and according to the case. The concept of person is an easy one. In a conversation, the one who speaks is called the first person. In the sentence, I will attend the farewell party tonight, the pronoun I is in first person. The person being spoken to is second person. In the sentence, will you attend the party tonight? The pronoun you is in second person. And any person being talked about and who is not taking part in conversation is referred to as third person. So the pronouns he, she, they are third person pronouns. A pronoun could be singular or plural. That distinction is an easy one, depending on whether you're talking about one person or more than one. And talking about case of a personal pronoun, a pronoun is in subjective case if it functions as the subject of the sentence, as happens in the following case. Dash went to the market yesterday. Typical pronouns you would use here are I, we, you, he, she, they went to the market yesterday, and so on. These pronouns are said to be in subjective case. Now consider this sentence. The shopkeeper gave Dash a book on grammar. We would use the shopkeeper gave me, the shopkeeper gave us, the shopkeeper gave him a book on grammar. Since these pronouns function as objects, they are said to be in objective case. Sometimes, pronouns may denote a possession or belonging, as in the sentence, now this book is mine or yours or hers. Such pronouns are said to be in possessive case. Other pronoun types are demonstrative pronouns. They are used to point to something specific within a sentence. This, that, these, those, etc. are demonstrative pronouns. For example, this is the building that is up for sale. The pronoun this points out to the building in question and is a demonstrative pronoun. Indefinite pronouns. They refer to one or more unspecified objects, beings, or places. One, some, somebody, few, many, nobody, everyone, anybody are indefinite pronouns. For example, anybody can take a horse to a pond, but no one can make it drink. The pronouns anybody and no one are indefinite pronouns. Relative pronouns, they act as the subject of a relative clause and refer to nouns mentioned previously in the sentence. For example, in the sentence, it was Ram who decided to support her. The clause who decided to support her is introduced by the relative pronoun who, and the word who refers to Ram. Distributive pronouns. Pronouns such as each, either, neither consider members of a group separately rather than collectively. For example, each of you must complete your homework on time. Reflexive pronouns. These pronouns show reflex action. They end in self or selves and transfer the action back to the noun or pronoun, which is the subject in the sentence. For example, in the sentence, I am teaching myself to cook well, I is the subject and the pronoun myself is a reflexive pronoun suggesting that the action of the verb teaching is being received by the subject only, which is I in this case. And the last ones are intensive or emphatic pronouns, named so because they lay emphasis on some noun or pronoun doing the action. In form, they look just like the pronouns in the previous category. Examples are, I baked the bread myself. The pronoun myself lays emphasis on the fact that I, and not anyone else, baked the bread. The third and one of the most important parts of speech is a verb. A verb is a word or phrase that describes an action or a state of being. For example, in the sentence, he is eating a hot dog, the phrase is eating is showing an action. It's a verb. Ram is speaking on the telephone. The phrase is speaking is showing an action. It's a verb. The athlete is running a race. The phrase is running is showing an action. It's a verb. Apart from actions, verb can also show a state of being. Like in the sentence, Sia is beautiful, there is no action taking place. Only a state is being conveyed. The word is the only verb in this sentence and it helps make a statement about Sia. In the sentence, she looks sick today, the verb looks conveys the state of the girl that she is sick. And in the sentence, the flower smells sweet. The verb smells does not convey any action and rather tells the state of the flower that it is giving out a sweet smell. Remember, a flower cannot smell on its own. It is we guys who use our nose to smell things. By the way, whenever verbs help make a statement about a subject, instead of showing an action, they are known as linking verbs. Some important terms that you would come across in grammar are subject and predicate. We can discuss these here because we have covered nouns, pronouns and verbs. Any sentence can be broken into two parts, the subject and the predicate. A subject is a person, place, thing or idea that is being discussed. You guessed it correctly, it's a noun or a noun phrase or a pronoun which acts as the subject of a sentence or a clause. The rest of the sentence or clause contains the verb and states something about the subject. It is known as a predicate. For example, Ria wore a new dress to the party. In this sentence, we are talking about Ria, so she is the subject. And wore a new dress to the party is the predicate. Another example is, the kind gentleman donated a lot of money. The kind gentleman is a noun phrase which is the subject and donated a lot of money is the predicate. In our subsequent lessons, we will study subject-verb agreement error, which is one of the most important error types in grammar. Now, a fun fact. No sentence in English is ever complete without a subject and a verb. So even in the shortest of sentences, you expect at least 2 words, one for subject and the other for verb. The best example that comes to my mind for the shortest sentence is, let us suppose a priest is conducting a marriage ceremony and he asks the bridegroom, "Do you take her to be your lawfully wedded wife?" What does the bridegroom reply? Well, what else can he reply? He replies, "I do," the shortest sentence ever. Let's discuss various classifications of verbs now. The most common and easy to understand classification is regular versus irregular verbs. Well, all verbs have 5 forms. These forms are the infinitive, simple present, simple past, past participle and present participle, and these forms help convey various tenses, past, present and future, and aspects, that is the fact whether an action has been completed or not. Regular verbs form their simple past tense and past participle tense in a simple pattern by adding ed to the main verb. For example, take the verb laugh. The past tense of laugh is laughed, as exemplified in the sentence, "The child laughed at the clown's antics." The past participle form is also laughed. As you can see in the sentence, "I have laughed at the joke several times." Irregular verbs, on the other hand, are called so because they don't form their simple past or past participle by adding ed. They have some other forms which have to be memorized in order to form the tenses correctly. Examples are verb forms such as write, wrote, written, or drink, drank, drunk. Besides, you would have noticed that sometimes verbs are single words, but at other times a complete phrase. The other words which help the main verb are known as auxiliary verbs. They combine with the main verb to convey different moods, voices, tenses and aspects. Among auxiliaries, there are 3 primary auxiliaries, forms of be, have and do, which change form depending on time and subject. Like in the sentence, "I have written my report," if the subject was he, we would have said he has written the report. Similarly, we say that I am speaking, but he is speaking and they are speaking. We see that the auxiliary to be takes different forms such as am, is and are depending on who the subject is. Then there are modal auxiliaries, words like can, could, will, shall, must, etc., which don't change form according to different subjects. Another classification of verbs is transitive and intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs are verbs such as kick, want, paint, write, eat, clean, etc., which require an object to complete their meaning. An easy check of whether an object is required or not after the verb is to ask the question what after the verb. For instance, she gave what to the church? The answer is money, which is the object. We played what? The answer is chess, which is the object. And I took what? The answer is books. Intransitive verbs, on the other hand, can stand on their own without an object. Verbs like arrive, go, lie, sneeze, sit and die are normally intransitive. For instance, in the sentence, "The building collapsed," we can't ask the question, "The building collapsed what?" It would be an improper question. Similarly, birds fly in the sky. You can't ask birds fly what? Birds fly is a complete sentence on its own, and the phrase in the sky is just a prepositional phrase, not an object. The last classification of verbs is finite and non-finite verbs. To cut a long story short, finite verbs are verb forms that function as verbs. They can stand by themselves as main verbs of a sentence. Whereas non-finite verbs are verb forms that don't function as verbs at all. Rather, they function as some other part of speech, such as a noun or an adjective. They are called non-finite because they are unfinished or incomplete verbs that cannot, by themselves, be the main verb in the sentence. Some non-finite verbs, called infinitives and gerunds, function as nouns. For example, in the sentence, to err is human, to forgive divine, the subjects to err and to forgive are forms of verb. They are non-finite verbs known as infinitives. And in the sentence, sleeping is my favorite pastime, the subject is sleeping, which is again a non-finite verb and is a gerund. Other non-finite verbs known as participles can function as adjectives. For example, in the phrase, the broken window, the word broken is a verb form which is a past participle of the verb to break. The word broken here describes the window and is functioning as an adjective. Similarly, in the phrase, the wheezing gentleman, the word wheezing is a present participle form of the verb to wheeze and describes the gentleman, so is functioning as an adjective. The fourth part of speech is adjective. An adjective is a word that adds to or modifies a noun, giving extra information about it. Occasionally, adjectives can modify pronouns as well. For example, if I say that a particular mango drink is made of fresh and juicy mangoes, I am describing the quality of mangoes and I am giving some extra information about the noun, mangoes. The word fresh and juicy are adjectives. Similarly, in the second sentence, the drink claims to have a sweet, refreshing and exciting taste. I am describing the taste of the drink, which is a noun, as sweet, refreshing and exciting, all of which are adjectives. The adjectives are mostly placed in an attributive position before the noun, as is the case in the sentence, the black cat stared at me. Or they can be placed in a predicative position after the verb, as in the sentence, the cat is black. Now let's discuss the various types of adjectives. An adjective can show kind or quality of a person or thing. Like in the phrase, a large city, the adjective large describes the kind of city Delhi is. Or in the phrase, intelligent child, the adjective intelligent describes the quality of Riya. An adjective can show how much of a thing is meant. Like if I say, some rice got spoiled. The adjective some puts an estimate of quantity on the rice and answers the question how much rice got spoiled. And in the sentence, I have enough money to pay for the groceries. The adjective enough describes how much money I have. An adjective can also show how many persons or things are meant. Like the question, how many people were arrested for the crime, is answered by the adjective 5. And the popular saying, no man is an island, again answers the question, how many men, through the adjective no. Then there are those adjectives which point out which person or thing is meant. Words like this, that, these, those and such are demonstrative adjectives when they are used immediately before the noun that they point out to. For example, we have the sentence, this building is up for sale. There are interrogative adjectives like who, what and which used to ask questions. For instance, whose car is it? Or which color do you like? Again, interrogative adjectives are used immediately before the noun they modify. And finally, there are emphasizing adjectives such as own or very, which are used to lay emphasis on a certain point. I saw it with my own eyes and my very adversary took my part. are examples of emphasizing adjectives. The next part of speech, an adverb, is quite similar to an adjective in function. While an adjective adds on to or modifies a noun or pronoun, an adverb adds on to or modifies a verb. Though an adverb can also modify other parts of speech apart from a verb, such as an adjective or some other adverb. Let's have some examples to illustrate this point. If I say, the girl is walking slowly, the word slowly describes the manner in which the girl is walking. The word slowly modifies the verb walking, hence it's an adverb. Further, she seems very tired. Now tired is an adjective describing the state of the girl. And because very tells us how tired she is, the word very modifies the adjective tired. So very is also an adverb. Same is the case with the sentence, if she is late, her boss would be quite angry at her. Angry is an adjective and the word quite modifies this adjective angry. So quite is also an adverb. She looks anxiously at her watch and wonders whether she is walking fast enough to reach office on time. Now note the words looks anxiously. The word anxiously describes the verb looks and is an adverb. And in the phrase walking fast enough, the adverb fast modifies the verb walking. And in turn, the word enough modifies the fellow adverb fast. And so, enough is also an adverb. So an adverb can modify a verb, an adjective or another adverb. Here is a very effective example that will help you remember this. All of us have seen this tagline of the popular brand Amul. Utterly, butterly, delicious Amul. Now see, delicious is an adjective describing the taste of the brand Amul. The word butterly tells you delicious in what sense? Butterly delicious. The word butterly adds on to the adjective delicious. So, butterly is an adverb. And utterly further adds on to the meaning of butterly, telling you the degree to which the butter of Amul brand is butterly. Since utterly modifies the fellow adverb butterly, it's an adverb too. Clearly, the brand capitalizes on the fact that most, I would say around 80% of the adverbs end in ly, like slowly, quietly, clearly, eagerly, butterly. Never mind the fact that butterly as a word does not exist in a dictionary. For most of the adjectives, you add a ly to them and lo, you get an adverb. Well, we have used the term modify. An adjective modifies a noun, whereas an adverb modifies a verb, an adjective or another adverb. In modern grammar, these two parts of speech, adjectives and adverbs, are also called modifiers. Now coming to adverb types, we have adverbs of manner. They show how or in what manner an action is performed. For example, she moved slowly and spoke quietly. Slowly describes the manner in which she moved and quietly describes the manner in which she spoke. So both are adverbs of manner. Adverbs of place or location show where an action is performed. She has lived in a suburb all her life. The adverb phrase in a suburb answers the question where. She still lives there now. There is an adverb of place. Adverbs of time show when an action is performed. She tries to get back before dark. The action to get back is performed when? Before dark. Before is an adverb of time. It is starting to get dark now. Starting when? The answer is starting now. So now is an adverb of time. Adverbs of frequency. They show how often an action is performed. She goes for her piano lessons every day. How often? Every day. And she always goes by herself. How often? Always. The words every day and always are adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of purpose. They define the purpose of an activity and answer the question, why? She drove her boat slowly to avoid hitting the rocks. Why did she drive slowly? To avoid hitting the rocks. This phrase is an adverb of purpose. She shops in several stores to get the best buys. Why did she shop at several stores? To get the best buys. Again, this phrase is an adverb of purpose. Adverbs of degree or quantity. Also known as intensifiers, they show how much or in what degree or to what extent. She sings pretty well. Sings well. Well to what degree? The answer is pretty well. The sea is very stormy. Stormy to what degree? The answer is very stormy. Adverbs of affirmation or negation. They either negate or affirm a proposition. Surely you are not at fault. The word surely affirms the proposition that you are not at fault. He does not know me. The word not negates the proposition that he knows me. And finally, connective adverbs. These adverbs serve both the purposes of conjunction and adverbs. Words like also, consequently, furthermore, hence, however, moreover, nevertheless, otherwise, therefore are conjunctive adverbs. They join two ideas together and you can say that one idea is adding on to another, so they are conjunctive adverbs. I did not study well for my exams. Therefore, I am not expecting good scores. The word therefore is a conjunctive adverb. Now let's discuss one part of speech which is all-pervasive. Prepositions. Break it down. Pre plus position. Since pre means before, preposition is a word or words that are placed before a noun or a noun equivalent. A preposition introduces a noun or pronoun or a phrase or clause functioning in the sentence as a noun. The word or word group that the preposition introduces is called its object. For example, an apple is on the table. The word on is a preposition which introduces the noun phrase the table. The preposition on relates apple and table. A dog is in the box. Again, the word in is the preposition here which introduces the noun phrase the box. The preposition in relates the dog and the box. In any piece of writing, you can encounter hundreds of prepositions. So here is a short story illustrating this point. The prepositions are underlined and highlighted in red. She was from Italy and had recently moved into a rented house near the garden. In her, the boy saw the girl of his dreams. The words from, into, near, in and of are prepositions here. They are introducing nouns and noun equivalents. They could spend hours together staring at each other without speaking any word. At and without are prepositions here. They dated for 3 years and finally got married in November 2014. For and in are prepositions here. Shortly after their marriage, the couple moved to Delhi because of the boy's job. After and because of are prepositions here. Let me highlight some common types of prepositions now. Prepositions are mostly used to introduce a place, like maybe for quoting an address. She lives at 23 Basant Avenue in Amritsar. Sometimes they quote the relative locations of two objects, like the painting hung over the couch or the cat is under the table. They can be used to quote time or time durations, like you might be meeting someone at 3 o'clock on a particular date. And prepositions might quote a direction of movement. They travel through the jungle. Through indicates a direction. Or this is a big step towards the project's completion. Towards indicates a direction. Here is a list of some prepositions that are used commonly. You might notice that sometimes multiple words put together act as one preposition, like in addition to or in spite of, etc. Closer to the end, our seventh part of speech is conjunction. Junct means to join and the prefix con means together. So a conjunction literally is a word that joins together. A conjunction joins together two or more words, phrases and clauses. Let's have some examples. I like to eat a healthy breakfast, cornflakes and milk. You can see that the word and, which is a conjunction, is joining the words cornflakes and milk. I enjoy spending my vacations in the mountains or at a beach. Now, students often confuse between phrase and clause. Well, both are groups of words. A phrase is a group of words that can stand as a conceptual unit without any restriction that it should necessarily have a subject or a verb or any other such unit. In the sentence, I enjoy spending my vacations in the mountains or at a beach, the word groups in the mountains and at the beach are both phrases being joined by the conjunction or. And the last sentence is an example of two clauses being joined together with the preposition so. A clause, by the way, is a group of words that has both a subject and a verb, and it might even stand alone as a complete sentence sometimes. It was raining is the main clause, and so we carried our umbrella is another clause joined to the first one with the help of conjunction so. Coming to types of conjunctions, there are three important types. Coordinating conjunctions join items that are of equal importance in a sentence. It may be two or more words, phrases, and even clauses. The main coordinating conjunctions can be memorized through the acronym FANBOYS, where F stands for, A for and, N for not, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. For example, you can have apples or bananas. The words apples and bananas are of equal importance, joined through the coordinating conjunction or. He plays hockey and cricket, and is the coordinating conjunction. The weather was cold but clear. But is the coordinating conjunction, bringing out the contrasting qualities of weather. Then there are correlative conjunctions. These conjunctions are used in pairs to correlate two equal ideas within a sentence. Correlating conjunction pairs such as both and, either or, no sooner than, etc. are very rigid in the sense you can't replace any of the word in the original pair with something else. For example, scarcely had we left home when it started to rain. You have the correlative conjunction pair scarcely ... when in this sentence. He is neither rich nor famous. Neither nor is a correlative conjunction pair. And third are subordinating conjunctions such as unless, so, when, until, after, etc. These conjunctions introduce a subordinate or dependent clause, which is a clause that cannot stand on its own as a complete sentence, and connect it to the main clause. For example, in the sentence, after the train left, we went home. After the train left is a subordinate clause introduced by the conjunction after. Note that the clause after the train left cannot be a complete sentence on its own without the main clause we went home. Besides, you have conjunctive adverbs as a fourth category that we have already covered in adverbs. Here is a list of some common conjunctions. Again, please note that some of them are used in pairs and some of them are phrases. And finally, the eighth part of speech is called interjection. It is also known as exclamation. An interjection is a word or phrase that expresses a strong emotion, such as surprise, pleasure, or anger. Interjections often stand on their own And in writing, they are usually followed by an exclamation mark rather than a full stop. Words like hurrah, alas, and shh are interjections. Frankly, that's pretty much all you need to know about this part of speech. Now, a short activity where you will be given one sentence containing all 8 parts of speech. Try and map each of the words to the part of speech they belong to. The sentence is, lo, the hungry cat, which was sitting under a table, pounced on the poor mouse and quickly gobbled it up. And the answers are, the words cat, table, mouse are nouns as they name things and animals. Though and are articles used before nouns, a category of demonstrative adjectives. Besides, words like hungry and poor describe the cat and the mouse respectively and are also adjectives. Coming to verbs, the phrase was sitting and the words pounced and gobbled represent actions and hence are verbs. Which and it are pronouns as they substitute the nouns cat and mouse respectively. The word quickly describes the action word gobbled. It's an adverb. The words under and on are prepositions as the word under introduces the noun phrase a table and on introduces the noun phrase the poor mouse. Lo is clearly an interjection. And lastly, we have the conjunction and, which connects the two clauses, pounced on the poor mouse and quickly gobbled it up. So that was the lesson. Hope it served as a good revision for your English fundamentals. Coming up is a planned series of lectures on common mistakes in English, which will help you crack the grammar questions in English. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe our channel and stay tuned for more such videos. Thank you.